Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Thousand Suns in 3rd Edition, and today we are going to be talking about the Khenetai Occult Cabal. So it might be a relatively short episode just talking about this one squad, but we are going to be talking about these guys, so let's just jump right into it. So, as a general overview of the squad, they are 145 points for 5 models, and you can have up to 5 additional models for 24 points each, so they are pretty pricey, almost 2.5 times the points of a tactical marine. So, pretty expensive squad. They have veteran stats, so you're looking at like 2 wounds, weapon skill 5. They're in power armor, so a 3-up save. They are, however, 3 attacks, so they have more attacks than like your standard veteran. So 3 attacks is nice. They are a melee focused squad. Their leadership and cool of 8 and willpower 8 if you take them in a Thousand Suns army. Sorry, Alpha Legion players, you're stuck with the willpower 7 Khenetai Blade Occult, or Khenetai Occult Cabal. That's what they're called. But, you know, 8's for most of their important stats, so a fairly reasonable leadership stats. They come equipped with paired Akia Force Swords, bolt pistols, frag, and crack grenades. So the relevant things we're going to be talking about as far as equipment is the Akia Force Swords. And that's about it today, as far as equipment that we discuss. Bolt pistols, frag, and crack grenades are fairly self-explanatory, and I mean, maybe they're not, and we can talk about those later, but those are pretty generic equipment options that most units have. So we want to talk about the more unique stuff with this squad. They do have a unique Prosperine Arcana. It's just called Khenetai. So we will talk about their powers and you know, what they do, some of the specifics of what they do, and how useful they are. So getting into their weapons, they come with a single melee weapon called Paired Akia Force Swords. So that is a single weapon. It's not 2 different weapons. In 3rd edition, you do not get bonus attacks for having 2 different weapons. This is 1 weapon profile. They hit it at your normal initiative. They give you an extra attack, an extra point of strength. They are AP 3. They're only 1 damage, but they are breaching 5+. So those are their stats. Pretty decent stats for a weapon. The extra attack is nice, putting these guys up to 4 attacks. So going into combat, you have a full squad. You're going to be throwing 40 attacks at the enemy with your full squad of 10. Because they're each getting 4 attacks with their paired Akia and Force Swords. Alright, and let's just do some math real quick. Let's say we're hitting a weapon skill 5 opponent. So we're fighting another veteran squad. You know, other squads of similar points value to the Khenetai. You're averaging 20 hits with that. Now, if you're fighting you know, tacticals or assault squads, which we'll talk about kind of their intended role, you're going to be getting a lot more hits than this. You're going to be getting, what, 26, 27 hits or something. But 20 hits against a weapon skill 5 opponent. We're going to make the math easy because I am not a mathematician. 20 hits. You're going to average about 13.2 wounds against toughness 4. About half of those will be breaching. So you're looking about 6.6 breaching wounds. Now, most veteran units are in power armor and have a 3-up save. There are a lot that just have a 3-up save. So you're going to be pushing through about 13 wounds on this squad. If they have a 2-up save, you're looking at you know, 6.5, between 6 and 7 wounds that will ignore saves, and the other 6 or 7 they'll be taking a 2-up save on, so you might get another wound through. But against the 3-up saves is where they really shine, and you'll notice that if you're going up against a 2+ save unit, a lot of times you're looking at either Terminators or characters, and those units typically have invulnerable saves. And what happens is, you know, let's say worst case scenario, you're fighting against a Cataphractii Terminator unit, you're getting 6.6 breaches, and they're saving half of those. So you might be killing a Terminator, maybe 2 Terminators, but maybe a Terminator and wounding another. That's not a lot of damage from this squad against 2+ saves. Now, if you're going against a 3-up save unit, putting through 13 wounds is good. You might kill more than half a squad of veterans, or just wiping out a tactical or assault squad. But those 2-up save models really hamper the damage potential of the Force Swords here, and we'll see that. We'll talk about some of the potential drawbacks when it comes to that with this squad. So the Khenetai Prosperine Arcana. These are their unique powers, all right? And these are only available to the Khenetai, as there are no other units available in the Thousand Suns Legion or elsewhere that has this Arcana. So this is unique to this squad. There are 2 powers, and we're going to talk about each of these in succession, so let's kind of go through these. First one is called Blade Weaving. Blade Weaving is a reaction, and it's a blessing. So it's used on your opponent's turn. It's used on your squad, all right? The target is your own squad. It triggers at the start of step 4 of the charge. This is before volley attacks. Volley attacks are step 4, so this is after setup move, before volley. So if your enemy sets up into you, you miss out on your chance to get Blade Weaving. Important to remember. But it does happen before volley attacks, so it could give you an additional layer of protection against these volley attacks. You do have to take a willpower check. You have to manifest this like you do with the other Arcanas, so there's a chance to perils. But if you fail your willpower check, which you have about a 72.5% chance of succeeding, if you do happen to fail, your reaction points are refunded on this Arcana, which is very nice. Takes some of the risk out of using this power. This reaction lasts until the end of the fight sub-phase. So through all the fights that are going to happen with this squad, it works through the entire sub-phase. The unit essentially just gets a 5-up invulnerable save. It's fine. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. You get a 5-up invuln. Its main use is going to be when you're fighting against other veterans or Terminators. They get the jump on you. They charge your squad. And they have a lot of high AP attacks. Against multi-damage attacks, I noticed that it might have a little more sway, but this is the kind of reaction that you want to use on this squad, right? You want to stop a third of those wounds coming in. Could make a difference in a fight, but that's essentially the use for Blade Weaving. 5-up invuln save, used in the fight sub-phase. If they set up into you, it doesn't work. Important things to remember. If you do perils on this, which is rolling a doubles, if you do perils, you'll on average kill a model of your own. So that's important to remember that you could potentially lose a 24-point model by perils of the warp. It's a D3 wound, so there's a chance you don't. There's a chance you kill more than one, but you can perils, and it'll on average kill a model. The other power is Mind Song of Blades. Mind Song of Blades is a power, and it's a blessing, so it happens in your own turn, and it will target your own unit. You use this at the start of the declare weapon step of the fight phase. Declare weapon step of the fight phase. So this is after challenges are fought. This is when the full unit gets to attack. Before any weapons are declared, before initiative steps are set, you use this power. It lasts until the end of the fight subphase, so it lasts for the entire combat that goes on this turn, essentially is what happens. And this is specific, and this is something I don't know if people have seen or noticed much, but it specifically targets the paired Akia Force Swords. It doesn't target other weapons, but anyone who has paired Akia Force Swords receive Precision 5+. That means if you roll a 5+ to hit, you get to designate where that hit targets in the enemy unit. So you can target out sergeants or characters or different things like that, but it only works for paired Akia Force Swords. I didn't know this until I was researching for this video. Now, I haven't used this power before, so it's not like I don't think it's extremely useful, but that is something important to remember. Yeah, no characters get the benefit. There are no characters in the Legion that can equip paired Akia Force Swords, so it doesn't exist on anybody but the Khenetai. And I think the reason for this is classically the Khenetai weren't allowed to be joined by characters or would mess up their powers. That's kind of their thing. I think this encourages you to keep characters out of this squad, and this will also encourage you to not put characters in your squad, because if your opponent knows that you can precision out their character, they can always challenge your character, and then they can just fight separately, and your precision won't really matter. So if you specifically want to target a character with the precision power, with Mind Song of Blades, then you want to keep command units or champions out of the squad so they can do that. But these are the two powers in the Khenetai Prosperine Arcana. So let's talk about some uses and drawbacks on this squad. Right, one has a lot more than the other, but let's get into it. So for their uses, the uses for Khenetai, they are infantry and power armor blenders. They will trash tactical squads, assault squads, breachers, maybe even any mortal squad, anything with a 3+ save or less. These guys will do really well into. That's it. That's pretty much their use. They're very one note. Like seriously, they're really good at killing 3+ saves, but there's nothing else that they're really good at. If there is some use that you guys have found with this squad and you want to contribute, please leave a comment. Let me know, and if it sounds interesting, I will absolutely try it in a game soon. I'll put them on the board and I will try some ridiculous, like, off the wall strategy with them. But they kill power armor. Lots of things in the game kill power armor. They're really good at it, but that's about all they do. Their drawbacks are a little bit more numerous. First of all, they have a 3-up save. That, it's a 3-up save. It's great. Space Marines have 3-up saves. I know the militia players are seething over this, but as a Marine player, a 3-up save is more of a liability. There are a lot of AP3 game things in the game. They still fail a third, on average, of their armor saves, so they lack a lot of durability. They don't have reliable AP2. You put these guys into a Terminator squad or a character, and you can't guarantee that you're going to cause enough damage to matter. So, again, against AP3, they'll shred. Against 2-up saves, they're going to struggle most of the time. I'm sure you can spike your damage rolls, you can do really good, but you're really relying on your dice at that point. Their weapons are only damage 1. They are 4 attacks apiece, but being a damage 1 weapon means that when you're fighting veterans, you have to get 2 saves through, or 2 failed saves, 2 damage points through, before you're getting 1 point of combat resolution. And that really starts to show when you start fighting units like veterans or assault veterans or Terminators, because it feels so good to get a wound through on a Terminator, but you don't even kill one of them until you get a second one through. So that becomes a struggle. The damage 1 becomes definitely a limitation on the squad. It puts them into their role, makes them even, more directed toward killing these, tactical squads or, power armored blobs or mortal squads, but it is a limitation. They don't really have any meaningful options. So you can put some different pistols on them. I would never put different pistols on them because you don't use the pistols enough to make their points worth it. But also putting different pistols on them doesn't change their role. They're still what they are. They're still infantry blenders. That's all they do. So lacking the meaningful options means they don't have any versatility, right? You can't put a power fist in the squad. You can't, use different powers on them, which is very unique in the Thousand Suns Legion, because a lot of our units are very versatile in that they can choose different arcanas and really change up their role depending on the arcana you give them, and these guys don't do that. Their arcana it's honestly pretty lackluster, if I'm honest. It doesn't affect characters unless you have like a medic in your squad that can benefit from the 5+ invuln, but the precision is okay. You're fighting a huge blob of assault marines, of 20 assault marines. You're not going to kill the squad in one go, put the power in your squad, kill the Vexilla, kill the Sergeant, kill some of the power weapon guys, and you know that's a use for Mind Song of Blades. You know, your emergency button of blade weaving, getting the 5-up invuln. Yeah, I can see it. I have yet to use one of their powers in the 3 games I've used them in 3rd edition. So it's niche, if not, you know, kind of disappointing. The usefulness of their Arcana and the powers they use. They don't have Vanguard. This one really stinks, and I understand there's different roles for different squads, and I also understand that melee units with Vanguard are very difficult to actually make use of Vanguard. However, it is a use that they could have. And I know there's a lot of elite power armor squads that don't have Vanguard. I understand, you know, they have different rules for different squads, but not having Vanguard does limit their usefulness. So I could take them, or I could take, you know, the equivalent points in a Tartarus siege squad and have Vanguard on a shooting unit, and I can just actually make victory points back with the unit I have. So not having Vanguard kind of hurts their usefulness. So some potential synergies with this unit. First and foremost, a thing you want to do with these guys, you really want a transport. Assault transport, so Land Raiders and I guess Storm Eagle if you're feeling really spicy. Those are fantastic. You don't need an assault transport for this squad. I understand your opponent can just target a Rhino, and you can blow up a Rhino fairly easily. It is a lot more durable than I think a lot of people expect anymore. But I've been putting them in Rhinos, and they've been fine. If you have enough Rhinos or a Land Raider on the board or something, other tanks, a Rhino with 6-7 Khenetai blades really doesn't become a priority for your opponent until they're out of the transport, which might be turn 1, might be turn 2. So Rhinos are probably fine. But you want to put a bunch of points into the squad. You take a full squad of 10. Land Raider's not going to hurt. Getting the extra movement, extra setup distance is pretty nice. Any character that joins this unit, the synergies all come down to Arcanas. So you need an Arcana that works with this squad, that actually benefits them. The two with the most benefit is Raptora and Pwninator. Both of them have a really good reaction. Raptora gives the whole squad 4-up Shroud for the shooting phase, and Pwninator gives your squad +2 toughness for the shooting phase. Both are solid. I probably prefer Raptora. I like the extra 50-50 save that you get from Shroud, and I haven't seen a lot of people making use of things like augury scanners and searchlights yet. But if that does become a thing, Pwninator becomes pretty reliable. I mean, going up to toughness 6 on a Marine unit is very strong. Even if they only have a 3-up save, they do have 2 wounds, and yeah, toughness 6 is really good. Both of those Arcanas have pretty decent weapons that you can throw at some unit, but you really take this to add to durability of your Khenetai. The other Arcanas are either not useful, like Corvidae doesn't help them. It's 2 powers that don't really benefit a melee unit. Pyre just is not very useful overall. Again, there's some niche applications with causing damage to your opponent as they attack at different initiative steps, but it's not an amazing Arcana, to be honest, from the get-go. Athenaean can be sourced on other units, so the important thing with Athenaean is the clarity power that removes statuses, but you don't need that on the Khenetai. So you can put that on a tactical squad in the back and target your Khenetai if they happen to get a status applied to them. So you don't need those within this squad. It's not going to help this squad any more than just having a different squad on the board with the Arcana will. And something to remember with these synergies, models joined to Khenetai don't benefit from their powers. There's no models other than Khenetai that have paired a key and force swords. And almost every model that'll join the Khenetai already have a 5+ invulnerable save or better, so they won't benefit from that. So the synergy becomes very limited when the thing joining doesn't benefit from their powers. Unlike something like the Inductii that can give breaching to a model that joins their squad, the Khenetai don't benefit these characters as well, or these units that join them. The only instance where this would, I think, affect a model would be like a medic or a tech marine that doesn't naturally have an invulnerable save. You can give them an invulnerable save for the fight subphase of the enemy's turn, but that's it. That's literally the only synergy that comes from that's given to a model that joins their squad. Challenges are something that you need to consider before a battle, because the potential of getting into a melee where you could challenge models could either really benefit the Khenetai or very, very much hurt them or hamper them. You may want to precision and target that character that's in the enemy squad. Or you might want to tie that character up while you're trying to kill the rest of the models, and you don't want that character's Power Fist or Thunder Hammer just massacring all your Khenetai. So there's definitely decisions that need to be made before the battle, and what character is going to join these Khenetai. And maybe if you bring him, maybe have a Centurion or a Consul that you're kind of thinking like, it could join him, it doesn't have to, and kind of decide before you start the battle when you deploy, or before you deploy and you kind of choose your models and transports, that what is this squad going to do and what do they need to fulfill that role. In conclusion, Khenetai are an awesome looking squad. I think the GW models look great. I think they have a great aura to them, like dual sword wielding psychic maniacs, just like cut apart dudes. It's really cool vibe. They're pretty unique among legions. I don't know a lot of other legions, or I can't think of any legion units off the top of my head that are like dual sword wielding guys. So it's a cool, unique unit. They're a single role. They're very good in that role, but they are single role, and I don't think there's much versatility to them at all. Their Arcana only benefits the Khenetai and not joined units. That's not literal. That is just that the units that are joining the Khenetai already have the benefits, or just straight up can't be benefited by the power because of the weapons that it targets. But characters joining the Khenetai won't benefit from their powers. The squad is low durability, and they definitely need a transport. You can't have them sitting out in the open. They will die so quick. So give them a transport, and they'll probably die by the end of the battle anyway, because they are a low durability unit. The lack of Vanguard and reliable AP2 really removes a lot of the utility from this unit. You don't want them fighting Terminators. They don't benefit from, taking out units squatting on objectives. I mean, they do because you're killing stuff, but beyond that, you're not scoring additional VP from them. And like I've said, they will blend 3-up save Marines and Mortals. They might statistically kill a 20-man las rifle section in a single round of combat, but they'll kill those 10-man tactical squads, the 15-man tactical. They'll do that, but that's what they do. So for bonus army photos today, I just have a couple photos. It's my Khenetai. So this is my Khenetai Occult Cabal, and I just have 10 of them. They are prints. They're a little older prints at this point, but I painted them, got the 2 swords and everything. I really like the minis. I have used them in maybe half a dozen games to varying success. Generally, they fall flat and they die really quick, but yeah, I like the minis. And here's another photo of them, a more front-facing photo. But yeah, it's my Khenetai. And if they happen to come out in plastic at some point in the next couple years, I will absolutely have more Khenetai in my army and have some cool plastic ones. So thank you for watching, everybody. I really appreciate you guys sticking around this long and listening to the video. Hopefully you learned something. if there's something I missed or something I got wrong, or you have other ideas on how to use this squad, please put a comment below. Let me know your ideas, and I will make an effort to try them, because I'm all about trying new things with these Legion units. I do want to thank my Patreon. And all the members there. You guys are you're helping to support me. You're getting these videos early in return, and hopefully it's been useful and entertaining for you. But thank you to the Patreon especially. Next episode we're going to talk about Legion troops. So the generic Legion troops, kind of the 4 core troops that you see for the Legion Astartes. We're going to talk about them in the context of fielding them as Thousand Sons, and some uses for them, ways you can use the Arcanas with the squads, ways you use them in an army. So that's what we're going to do. Just kind of talk about some generic troops and how we use them. But that's all for today, and you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.